So, a formal good evening to everyone, and thank you for joining this session today. So, today I want to start with a simple yet very effective concept, that is 7 leverages for improving student learning process. The word leverages, this word leverages, this has come from a word lever from a physics. So in physics there is a word lever which means that a simple machine which is used to uplift a heavy load with a minimal effort. So here this word means what are the simple strategies which we can apply so that our students can get uplifted in their learning process. So the topic is 7 leverages for improving student learning. And I hope you all will participate in this session so that it will be an
Meeting
active
starting.
session. And as we know that teaching is a craft like playing music. So we are the builders of the nation. So we have to act as act. Am I audible? Yeah. So teaching is an art. We need to be an artist so that our students will get uplifted. So principle of lever and the student relationship, which is a very simple, that is lever is just like a machine, a simple machine. In the same way, we have to apply a very small, simple techniques to uplift our students. Now, that technique is being discovered by the teachers only because we are there with our students for the whole day for from 7 to 8, 7 to 2 p.m. So we understand our children very much in a effective way how they can be uplifted. So there is a driving force that student and we teachers are the guide. And what is the goal? The goal is learning. So how the learning can be uplifted, how that impact can be made in our life. So for that, how we can improve the student learning, how we can make our child, our student to be very happy whatever the child is performing. First of all, a teacher who is the role model of for a child needs to be nourished, right? Needs to be creative. And I know each and every of us are having some or the other creativity inside us, which because of the work pressure, we have just forgot about that creativity. So my request from everyone is that we should be creative. We should not forget about the creativity which is there inside us. We need to we should be that creativity, whether it is a dance, whether it is a painting, whatever we are good at. So we have to keep that creativity alive in ourselves. Then only we can create the students which are fulfilled, which are happy, which are having the 21st century skills. So my request from everyone is to be happy. First of all, we have to be very happy. Then only we can make our child happy. So some myths and the fact of the leverage leadership. Let us just see what are the myths and what are the facts. There are some myths also for this leverages leadership. So my myth number one is great schools have great individual teachers. So is the myth correct? How many of you agree with this myth? Is it right that great schools have great individual teachers? You can write in the chat box also. So great schools have great individual teachers. This is a myth, and the fact is that great schools thrive on the strong teamwork among the teachers. So, see how much responsible a teacher is there in the school, in the organization. A teamwork means a lot, where we can collaboratively work so that we can create a great school. Myth number two is trust and freedom mean not interfering in teachers' work. So, how many of you agree with this myth? Trust and freedom mean not interfering in teachers' work. I request everyone to give your inputs in the chat box so that it can be an interactive session. Yeah. So the fact is that healthy collaboration involve collective observation and constructive feedback. So healthy collaboration is very, very essential key, and the constructive feedback should be given to the teacher. It is a myth that if I am observing any teacher's class, so the teacher should not take oh, this teacher came to my class and doing my observation. There should be a healthy collaboration where a constructive feedback should be given to a teacher so that the teacher can improvise in its learning strategies. These are few myths. We are just talking about these myths, how they work. Actually, a teacher, how much the teacher responsible for creating a student's future. A myth number next is comprehensive teacher evaluation through formal observation yields the best result. So, how many of you agree with this statement, with this myth? The comprehensive teacher evaluation, a formal observation where a head or the principal of the school just go and sit at the back of the class and observe the class and giving the teacher will give the best result. Again, because the teacher who is going to be observed, no, that teacher must be under pressure, and under pressure no will give the best result. So informal and the frequent observations are more effective for teacher improvement, not a formal one. So there is a difference between a formal observation and the informal observations. Informal observations include the observation which can be done any of the time. There is no fixed time. It can be while walking in the corridor, while going in a class for 6 to 8 minutes, and then observing the class. So, observing the class informally will give a and by observing, giving a constructive feedback to the teacher. 10 minutes, it can be 10 minutes and the next day or the same day, so that the teacher can improvise in the teaching process can be done, so that the teacher can improve in the teaching strategies. It can change the teaching pattern or the style, teaching style required by the student. So next myth is a well designed curriculum is a key to the student success. Again, it is a myth, because effectiveness of planning rather than just curriculum design, just we are engaged in designing the curriculum, will does not result in the best of the students output. So effective curriculum planning is essential, but not only on papers, it has to be implemented in the class. Then coming to our topic, which is the 7 leverages for student improving the student learning process. And the first one is data driven instruction. So the word means data driven instruction means we need to take the data from the students by just taking their assessment. And here this assessment word doesn't mean that assessment is to be done periodically or to be done a subjective assessment or only a pen paper assessment. Here the assessment signifies that we can assess our students in a formative way. Just like we are doing formative assessment, so we can do the assessment formatively. So we can take the quizzes, we can give the presentations to the students while giving the group discussions, or in any of the way while just observing the student we can assess, we can take a data. Oh, in my class these are the students which are above average, then the students come below average, and then there are the mediocre students. So we need to strategize our plan, our lesson plan in that way that it will fulfill each and every child need. So our strategy should be like that it should fill the students, individual students need. Then next is the observation and the feedback. So number two is observation and the feedback. So a head of the school like principal or the coordinator should conduct weekly peer or collaborative teacher observation. It can be done 7 to 8 minutes in the class informally. And then after doing the observation, a 10-minute feedback should be given to the teacher next day to help teacher refine their strategies. Here, our whole system should work collaboratively to uplift the students' learning. That is all about our presentation today, the session today. That is the leverage of a student's learning. So we have to leverage it, we have to leverage by applying some of these strategies which can be inculcated in our lesson plan so that our student will get those leverages, and the learning of the student will be lifelong learning. Formal observations and the documentations. So formal observation, yet it is very important formal observation for a school, because formal observation will definitely be required for the documentation purposes, for the evaluation, for the accountability process. But again, just to improvise the teaching strategies, just to improve as a being a teacher. So informal observations and the feedback should be given to the teacher frequently so that the teacher will get improved in their learning or the teaching style. Instructional planning is the next point, where we should just focus on the pedagogies, that is how to teach, rather than just spending too much of time in the lesson content. I'm sure everyone, all the teachers here are just planning, just writing the lesson plan for the class, just preparing the lesson plan for the class. Like me, if I have to take a class tomorrow, so I have to plan my lesson. I always prepare my class prior, so that how much I want from my class, whatever the learning outcomes I want or a teacher want from a class, it has to be planned prior in those 40-minute window, whatever the learning outcomes a teacher need to just take out from the student. But again, there is a fine line, there is a very thin line between the making a lesson plan and making a planning. So the fine line is that planning is to focus on the pedagogies, right? The focus on the strategies, what all are the strategies we are going to apply in our class to make our classroom, to make our children learning more effective. So that comes under the pedagogies. which just give us how to teach rather than how to just note down, just making a lesson plan on a on or no word, or just writing pen down the lesson plan. So here are few of the pedagogies which I have written here. First is the inquiry based learning, where we can make our lesson plan in such a way where our children get to think about some of the inquiry, and then the children will do collaborative learning. We should create such of some type of group discussions, or we should give some type of projects to our children so that they can do a collaboration learning. Whereas problem based learning, problem based learning should also be there inculcated in our lesson plan, where a problem has to be given, a situation has to be given to our students, and then they can come up with some of their solutions, a great innovative ideas where they can give these solutions of that problem, which is a lifelong learning. Think about it, if we are creating such type of situation to our children where they come collaboratively, where they think collaboratively and do their work, they can divide their work and do a team project. So a project is ready and each and every individual has given their own part, which enhances their learning capability. And experiential learning, of course, is very important, where a child just focus on the hands-on experiments, and this type of learning will be a lifelong learning which a child will never forget. So the constructive approaches, Socratic method, blended method, so these are few of the pedagogies which has to be inculcated in a lesson plan while we are planning our lesson. So again, which I told you that there is a difference between just writing a lesson plan and while planning. Planning is something where we are applying some of the pedagogies, and plan is something which we just write down or type. See, a bad lesson plan can be modified into a best planning by applying these type of strategies. And of course, professional training is very, very important and integral part of our teaching journey, where we can keep ourselves updated with the latest teaching tools and approaches. So it has to be done by every teacher. It is mandatory so that we can be updated with the latest teaching pattern, because every time the teaching is being changing, the need of the students are also changing. Each and every student is different from each and every other student, so we need to identify what are the type of our children, what type of children we have, and we have to plan our lesson. We need to strategize our lesson in that way. Student culture. So creating a rigorous, joyful student culture that drive learning. Unless and until our children are not happy, we cannot make our learning joyful. So first thing is that we have to make our student very, very confident, a happy citizen. So for that, a child has to be motivated. He feel like a second home while coming to school. uh, he should be like that. I want to go to school. He want to come with a happy face, with a happy mind, where the mind is without fear of judging, and he want to learn in the school, and that can come only while bonding with our teacher, with the teacher. So if a teacher give that much of comfort to the student, then only the children will want to come to school, want to connect to the teacher. So there again a very important role a teacher plays by connecting with these students. We need to connect with our children in such a way that the student can share each and everything with the teacher, each and every problem or whatever a child thinks about a classroom or whatever a child thinks about a home, he can share with the teacher. Again, creating a positive staff culture is the sixth number point. We can only create a happy students when we are happy, when the teachers are happy. So we have to create a positive staff culture. We need to build a supportive and a collaborative staff culture that promote open communication and shared growth, where we can come together collaboratively, we can sit together and we can discuss with each other the best practices which a teacher is following in the class. So let's say if one teacher is following a very good practice in the class, so we should create that time in our whole schedule from morning till the last of the school working hours. Like we in our school we have a meeting that is known as exit meeting, where all the teachers just sit together and share the best practices what they have done in the class, and whatever the problems they are facing, we just sit together and discuss and we try to find out the solution. So once in a whole day or some time should be allotted in a school where all the teachers can sit together and discuss what all are the best practices we can do. And the seven number point is the developing an instructional leadership team, which create a leadership team for experienced teacher to mentor the younger staff, lead initiatives and maintain a system driven school, which should not, the school should be a system driven school. It should not be a principal driven school or a person driven school. A system has to be created in the school, and that can be created while just making the senior teachers or the experienced teachers to mentor the younger staff, and then such type of when it goes in that way, a system has been created and a school will become a system driven school environment. So instructional leadership team should be created inside the school, so that few of the teachers like 50 teachers can be taught or mentored by any one instructional leader. Then 50 teachers can be mentored by any instructional teacher. Like this, a school will become a system where each and everything is so organized that it does not require a recognition of a principal, but it has to be a system driven school which will be beneficial for all the schools, all the staff members and the students as well, which are the centric point of our session. So by these seven leverages, they help foster a structured, reflective and collaborative approach to teaching, ultimately improving student learning process and the student learning outcomes. So these are the seven leverages which I just want to share with you all. So if you have any kind of queries, please you can ask or write in the chat box so that we can discuss that question. So the
How
time is
can we
also.
give a positive feedback
Yes, ma'am.
to teachers?
Any queries anyone is having, please write here in the chat box so that we can discuss it. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your attention and your time. And I just look forward to hearing your thoughts on how we can make these strategies work even more effectively in our schools and the classroom. Please write here in the chat box what all our other strategies can be implemented to make a learning fruitful learning. Thank you everyone for your time and your attention. Thank you so much, everyone. Yes, ma'am. Small group activities like solving the puzzles, right? We can give so that they should learn the collaboration. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.